10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is now time for the Indie Live Spot right here on your station GHP Radio, your independent music source. live spot right here on GHP Radio. We're streaming live on YouTube. And we're very excited about today because we have a special guest. You just got to hear some of the music, actually, from our guest, Mr. Greg Manning's here with us. So everybody help me welcome Greg here to the show. What's happening, Greg?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
Oh, man,
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're excited about having you on today as well. Great music, as always. You know, we've been listening to you for a while. And, really love your latest single that we've been hearing a lot, the Top Down. It's great.
Oh, thank you.
Great track.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. I released it more than a year ago, and it's still going, you know.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very, very nice. And of course, now we were just kind of talking a little bit off air. You just get back from visiting your home?
Yes, I just got back from Switzerland. I went to visit my parents, and I took my fiancée along, and we had a great time.
That's great.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. If she's watching, hi Lisa.
Oh, yeah. Gotta give a shout out to Lisa.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, great, man. Well, we're very excited about having you, and we just wanted to have a little time with you and kind of talk to you, kind of find out some things about you, because, you know, we really love your music. Your music is very, it's just top-notch stuff, man. And I know you worked with a lot of different people throughout the years in your career. As far as your career goes, we kind of like to kind of go back a little bit and just kind of find out how, where did you actually come in at, where you started doing your professional performing and all that stuff.
I'm kind of a strange bird because, believe it or not, for a long time I wasn't really interested in music.
Really?
Yeah. I keep telling the story. People are like, what? No, I started really late, and really the defining moment for me was Stevie Wonder. One evening in Switzerland, I heard a song on the radio, and it just changed my life. Actually, the song was "Isn't She Lovely?"
Oh yeah,
of his Songs in the Key of Life album, right. And the second I heard that song, I was like, wow, the lyrics were so beautiful, so positive. The music, the chords, the instruments, the synthesizers, the Fender Rhodes piano. I was just like, wow, what is this? And I basically ran to the store to get the album. And he's, to this day, he's still my hero. He's really incredible. And I became kind of obsessed with the instrument, with piano. I'm basically self-taught, but later on I went to Berklee College of Music, and there I learned, just to use the proper terms. I was a film scoring major. I actually studied composition, and I basically learned how to communicate with other musicians. But basically, I was self-taught.
Wow.
So, what was your first choice besides the music?
I kind of was on track to become a pediatrician.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. And one day, I got up, faced the mirror, and I was like, who are you kidding? You played the piano all the time. You're not really studying the biology books, and you should actually be doing piano or just music. And then I think it took some courage to tell my parents that I had a different career path in mind.
Right.
Yeah.
But they've always been very supportive, and going to Berklee was great. I had so many great teachers, many great students there. I'm sure you know Walter Beasley.
Yeah.
The sax player singer. He was actually my ear training professor.
Oh,
wow.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Walter taught for many years at Berklee. He just recently retired. Yeah. He was, great influence, great teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I only know him as a saxophone player. I didn't know he was a college professor too.
Yeah, college professor, and he's a very good singer as well. Not many people know that. Walter can sing, absolutely. Yeah. But after Berkeley, well, I have to say, I hope my son isn't listening. I actually never finished college. Because one evening I got a phone call from kind of a famous comedian back home in Switzerland, and somehow he must have heard my music. He called me and said, "Hey Greg, I have this idea. I heard your music and I want to write a musical." And you know how it is in this industry. A lot of people are talking and nothing ever happens.
Right.
Yeah.
1 week later, the guy was in Boston at my doorstep, basically. "Hey, Greg, I'm here. Let's write a musical," and we actually did. I thought I would just take a sabbatical. I would take a break from school and go back. So I went to Switzerland, and I ended up touring with the musical for 4 years. I was a music director. We toured Switzerland, Germany, and it was actually very successful. And I just never went back to Berkeley after that. Yeah. And I also had, I think it was in 96, 97, I had a TV band back home in Switzerland. It was a lot of fun, but Switzerland is a great country, but it's also a very small country. And people in the industry in Switzerland also be, "Greg, we love your music, but it's too American. It sounds too American." and to this day, I don't even kind of know what that means, because
I was about to ask you that. What does that mean?
I don't know. But then again, jazz, one of the greatest art forms ever, it was created in this country, and I think America should be very proud of having created jazz. Unfortunately, I don't think it's appreciated as much in this country anymore.
It's really not appreciated as much as it is overseas.
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic, I think.
Absolutely.
I think it's just because jazz evolves. Classical music evolved since the medieval period or Renaissance and Baroque. It kept evolving. And some people will say, "I just like Baroque." Well, classical music didn't stop there.
Oh, absolutely.
We have too many creative people like yourself and, Gary. Music will continue to evolve because of that.
Absolutely. It will never stop. And to me, the scary thing is, the more I know about music, the more I know that I know nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's so vast. It's really like the universe. It is so vast. You could study a lifetime arranging or production or just playing the piano properly. There's so much to music.
There is.
It really
a lot.
is.
Never ending.
Mm-hmm. Never ending. So after I did my TV thing in Switzerland, I felt the need to basically get out of the country because it started to feel claustrophobic for me. And I had a good friend who was in Atlanta. He was not a roommate, but a good friend at Berkeley. Mm-hmm. And he had a little production company. Brian Preston, he had a little production company in Atlanta. So in 97, we moved to Atlanta, and I spent 5 years there. And I think I would still be in Atlanta to this day if it weren't for Jonathan Butler. Because when I was still at Berkeley, what's his name? Carl Beatty, a great professor, recording engineer, he did a master class. And he invited Jonathan to come over and play with students, and I was selected to be the piano player for that master class.
Wow!
And that also changed my life because I was the biggest Jonathan Butler fan. Mm-hmm. But when his first album came out, I think it was called Introducing Jonathan Butler, the double vinyl album. I ran to the store, and then a few years later I would actually play with him. At that master class. It was really great, and so we kept in touch. And when I moved to Atlanta, I think I went to a concert that he did, and he said, "Greg, how are you doing? Are you interested in playing with me in my band and touring with me?" And I was like, "No, man, I'm way too busy. I don't have any time." So I ended up working with Jonathan for about 9 years. I toured the world with him. I became his musical director, and we just, I've learned so much from that guy.
That's amazing.
9 years, wow.
Yeah. So at the time, I started working with him, touring with him, but I was still in Atlanta. And Jonathan always say, "Greg, you gotta come to LA. You know, there's a lot more going on." But I was kind of scared. There's a lot more going on, but you know, all the greats live here. Greg Fillinganes, all these great keyboard players. So I was always, why should I move to LA? But I finally did. In 2002, I moved to Los Angeles, and it's been great. It's been a great experience.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Now when y'all, I guess it's a good experience when y'all ain't on fire out there.
Oh man, don't even get me started. That's the scary thing. Earthquakes and fires, wildfires.
Tornadoes and hurricanes here, so
I know we all have something there. There's crazy.
Greg, I wanted to ask you real quick.
Yes.
About the score that you did for the play.
Yes.
Okay. How is that play still running in Switzerland, or is it still touring, or is it actually shut down now?
It is shut down. It is shut down for years.
Okay, how long did it run? Even though you were there, you were touring with it for 4 years, but how long did that play actually run? You know?
I think all in all, it probably ran for, I would say 6 years. Probably 6 years. Yeah. And it was called Keep Cool. It had an English name, but the play was in German,
right?
Okay.
Yes. And it basically shut down because the main character, he basically wrote the play for himself. So he when he was not there and we had to sub, it was not the same.
It wasn't the same, yeah.
No. It's really it's custom made for him.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's just hard to replace another actor anyway, you know.
Yeah.
Because you always bring yourself into whatever acting role. You are always a part of that character. So somebody come in is not only do the character, act like the character, but act like the person who played the character. So that's tough.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And the subs always did a great job, but it wasn't the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, it sounds like you had an exciting career.
Yeah, it's really been interesting, but because I started my solo career as an artist, I started it very late. I released my first single in 2014 with Dance With You.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very, very fortunate because it became Song of the Year. So I went like from 0 to 1 within one song.
That's cool.
Cool. But with all the background experience you have, I'm sure you poured it into that and everything you've done since.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've spent years, almost decades, as a sideman, and those experiences were just great. As I said, learning. I've played with so many great musicians: Kirk Whalum, of course, Jonathan, Gerald Albright, Dave Koz, Will Downing. Yeah, I hope something rubbed off.
Oh
yeah.
But Gerald Albright.
Yes. I know.
Gerald Albright's sound, his technique, his recordings. I don't know who does his CDs, but it's just awesome. Are you on any of his CDs?
No, I've actually never played on any of his CDs. But I think Gerald is pretty much self-contained. He actually started as a bass player.
I just found that out maybe a couple of years ago. No, I didn't know that before then. So.
Yeah, he's a wicked bass player.
Wow.
Has perfect pitch, everything, and he mostly produces himself.
Okay.
Yeah, he's that kind of a guy. Yeah.
But even the recording, when I listened to it, I could just tell it's just impeccable. So there are a lot of good recordings, and maybe because I started producing, learning how to produce my own, I listened a little more, and when I hear his stuff, I said, now that's, Because somebody asked me when I went to the studio, what are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for quality like Gerald Albright. Can you do that? Well, listen to it. Because
I'm not asking much.
I'm not asking much. I'm just asking the best.
You know, you got people say, I'm the #1 engineer. I've worked with so-and-so. I've worked with Erykah Badu, and I've done this and this. Well, if you give me all that, then I'm going to expect all that.
All that. Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what happens. I had to learn that I had to be careful about people who say, you know, I've worked with and I've done this and this and that. While some of them really have and they are of great quality, I ran into a couple of people that were not, or that they felt like I did not deserve the same respect as that major label artist, or that, and you know, so it's either one of those. I don't know. But what I tell people, I said, never underestimate a person's ear. You don't have to be a musician to know when something sounds bad.
Absolutely. I say this all the time, and people don't really understand. You know, I'm aware that like the regular public, they don't hear if the bass is out of tune a little bit, or something is rushing or dragging. They don't hear it in the musical sense, but they feel it. You know,
Right.
I think people, they just want to feel good when they listen to music,
Right.
and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
It is about the audience, and that's why people couldn't understand Kenny G. People criticized him, but he laughed all the way to the bank. He made people feel good with his music.
Oh, I used to have these arguments all the time. You know, some of my jazz friends were like, "Oh man, you know, I mean, Kenny G, come on."
He's sold out.
I think the guy is a genius.
I do too.
Just his sense of melody is uncanny. It's really something.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, a college professor that told me that is the essence of a real musician, not how technical, how fast they can play and everything, is when they play a whole note, half notes, and the tone quality and whatever. So he encouraged us to back off and work on our tone, make sure. He said that's how you can determine a great musician. So
this is so true. Don't get me started.
Don't get her started.
Oh, okay.
No, right ahead.
No, but because I think it's really a sign of maturity, and I'm guilty of it myself, because when I was at Berkeley, I listened to all these great piano players, and I wanted to play like them. I wanted to play faster, and technique was a very important thing. But you know, the older I get, as you just said, just the sound, the tone, and especially with wind instruments like saxophone. I mean, some guys like Kirk Whalen, he can play one note and you know it's Kirk, and that note is so wonderful. You know, for us as keyboard players, I think it's a lot more difficult to develop a sound. You know, I'm always impressed about Brian Culbertson, because you know, you hear Brian and you know, oh wow, that's Brian Culbertson. But I think in his case, it's mostly because of the reverb that he uses. It's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, and I know, well, when I hear certain songs, or when I feel something new from Elton John, but I knew it was him because the way he plays the piano.
Yep.
Because he has a certain style that no one else can do but except him.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like Stevie Wonder's the same.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like, you know, it's him, and that's his signature sound. So yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
John Coltrane is like that too. I was listening to a song I never heard before. I said, well, that really sounds like John Coltrane, and I looked it up, and it was him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
It's great though. I do. So, but yeah, developing that sound, yes, very important. I love it.
How much do you work on that?
Not as much as I did in college. You know, when you're grown, and I wish every now and then I have time. What I'll do is I'll play slow songs, long notes, in scales, and I'll record it so I can hear back what I'm doing, because you sound differently going that way than coming in, and then I'll go, oh, you know what? I need to work on this, and then
wow,
starts, going back. So sometimes I do go back and work on it. And I know technique is important because some audience people, they love artists. So, and just like other artists, I tried to find myself. And one day I realized I could double tongue on the saxophone because I did it on the flute and double, triple tongue. I haven't tried triple tongue on a sax. It's a little different. And I just started going up and down. I'm like, oh, let me try this. And so I'm always trying to find me, even though I always steal from other artists. Like, how did he do that? Or how did she do? Let me see if I can figure this out. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm always trying to find me. And so when I come to, because there's so many good horn players. Where I played Monday night, there were 1, 2, 3 other great saxophone players. Keith Anderson, who played with Prince, he was there. Mario was there, fantastic. And my friend Rob Holbert, great singer. They're just all over the place. So you try to find yourself in all these amazing artists. I'm not trying, and one thing I don't do is try to be better than anybody else. I want to be the best. I want to be the best. And I go, I want to serve the audience. I'm a servant. What can I do? And just be myself, because I have my personality. You have your personality. We can play the same instrument and get on the stage and have a totally different presentation if we allow our own personality to come out. Some people are very stationary. Sometimes I am, and sometimes Joyce is not stationary. I'm all over. But that's my personality, and I grew up that way. Lovely, go to you at your table. So I even stop playing, shake somebody's hand at the table, go back. But that's my personality. So it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned something very important. I think it's a very good advice for younger players. Always play and record yourself and then listen back, because I think that's that's another thing. Walter Beasley at Berkeley, he led a recording ensemble, and very early on he invited me to be a part of that recording ensemble. So we would record every week, and every week I would hear back what I recorded. And let me tell you, a frightening experience, because I would play something and I thought, oh wow, this is really jamming. And then I heard it back and I was like, oh no, maybe it wasn't that good. So I think when you're in the moment, and especially for like saxophone, because you never hear the sax how we hear it, how the audience hear it, because it vibrates through your bones, through your skull. So it's actually so funny to me. Saxophone players, when they play, they never hear the instruments like the audience would hear it.
Nope.
It's a completely different experience. So when you hear yourself back, then you actually have a more neutral reference point.
Right. And I'm so glad you say that, because sometimes when I say it, they go, oh, you just don't know what you're talking about, or you're just looking for excuses. And because I'm like, I need to hear my monitor. I need to hear what I sound like. And some people think I'm just being a diva, but I'm not. I want to hear, because our instruments are not in tune. They're just not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, there on occasion I'll hit a note and go, it's flat and it's too late. But it is too late. And if the note is long enough, I can lip it up and wait till a time where I can, push it in and make some adjustments. But I have to constantly and try to explain that to people why I want to hear. And plus I play more musically when I can hear more dynamics. Yeah. I can hear my lows. And there have been times the monitor was so bad I didn't play any low notes because I didn't like them. Because when I went low, they disappeared on me, and I couldn't tell they were in tune, how they were sounding. So I'm so glad you say that, because and when you get a good sound person, I don't even have to tell them. There's a guy here named Tom English, engineer. He knows how to mic up horns. D. Lucas was in town and he was there. He did D. Lucas so well. I got on the stage with him. He just knows what to do. I don't have to tell him I need more lows or anything. and he knows the right reverb. You don't hear 3 or 4 echoes behind each note.
Yeah, that usually helps. Yeah, I mean, if the audience knew what sometimes we have to go through on stage with monitoring, sometimes, I mean, you all know, but it's so tough. Sometimes it sounds so wrong on stage, but you still have to smile and just soldier through it. It's rough. Some nights are rough, but then as you just said, some nights are just perfect. Right. You don't have to do anything. I think to me it kind of makes sense. But a few weeks ago, I played with Adam Hawley at the Hollywood Bowl, and of course it's a great venue. But the stage monitor, sound engineer there, he's a genius because I never had to say anything. Wow. And the sound coming out of the wedges, I was like, I'm in the studio. It was like CD quality, and I never had to say anything. To this day, I'm still amazed because unfortunately, most of the time, that's not the case.
It's not.
Yeah. You want to touch that key lightly, but if you do, it's like, where did it go? I can't hear it. So,
Hey, Greg, before our time gets away, I had a question that I wanted to get in.
Sure.
Only because I had a crush on this person back years ago, but but yeah, what was it like working with Jody Watley? I saw some things where did you do some side work with her, or what was that all about?
Oh yes, her regular keyboard player Rodney Lee, he had some conflicts, and he called me to be his sub, and that was a year ago. I started working with her. And what a great experience!
Wow.
I got to travel. I went to Japan with her. Played some beautiful clubs. And I mean, what can you say? She's a legend.
Yes,
she's a legend.
Yes, she is.
She really is.
In a way, an absolute trailblazer. As a woman of color, all the things that she accomplished, and she always did it so gracefully.
She sure did. Wow.
Yeah. So for me, it was a great experience.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because Gary he is looking for a good.
There we go.
Swinging that dress, coming down the street.
I know, with that little dress, that little skirt of hers, and her little leather jacket that she had on as well.
There you go.
Yes, absolutely.
I've always liked her, even when she was before she went on solo. She was like, I like her, so yeah.
I'm looking for a new love.
Yes.
Baby.
New love.
Yes. Oh, Jody had some huge hits. I mean, huge.
Did.
Yeah.
She really
absolutely,
did.
she did.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
cool.
But how cool did you get to go to Japan with her?
Yes. Oh, I love Japan. I love it because here we go again. Usually in Japan, the sound on stage is always perfect. They really take pride in this, and they make sure the keyboards are set up right. And I just love working with people that take pride in what they do. Unfortunately, it's not always the case.
No.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
Do you hear this? Well, it sounds good to me.
Right? Like, yeah, but it isn't. You're a second opinion.
Oh gosh.
No. Just forget about what I think, okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know, Gary, you wanted to maybe play some music. I hate to start talking again.
Yeah, we'll play a couple more, and then we'll come back and kind of wrap it up with Greg, because we know Greg, because he's got to go. Right? He'll have to go here in a little bit. So yeah. Okay. Well, let's do another track. I want to do the let's see, what was it? Tell me a little bit about Cruising Down the Road.
Track. Good.
Oh, Cruising, that was a fun track.
Yeah.
That was actually, I composed that a long time ago. I don't even remember exactly when. And then I thought, this will be actually a good single. and I knew that I needed a sax player, a very strong sax player, and I heard a tenor sound. Mm-hmm. And I just called Vincent Ingala, and he agreed, and he's the featured sax player on that track.
Very cool.
Yeah, he did a great job. Oh yeah, and again, interesting story. Mm-hmm. And again, it's all about the feel. So sometimes people, they say, oh no, I need exactly this microphone, I need this preamp, I can only record with these two. Vincent actually recorded it while he was walking around with his stage microphone. It wasn't even a studio microphone. He just walked around with headphones in his living room, playing to the track with his clip-on mic. But it just, when I got the track back, it just felt great. Mm-hmm. And I was too worried about the quality.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, he just had a great time, recording. And I think he's translated the way it feels.
Awesome. Yeah, and he's an amazing musician.
Mm-hmm.
When he was like 18 years old, I first saw him.
Yes.
Blew me away. I mean, oh my gosh. He was already so, he has such a mature sound to him, and just the way he played the crowd. I mean, because it was funny, because after he was on stage, he was like the opening act. And then I'm standing with the guys that were the actual act, which was Michael Ward and, oh my gosh. I forgot his name. I just totally blanked out on his name. Saxophone player he's actually in Houston. And I'm in the picture. He's in my profile photo.
It's all good. It's all good.
Marion?
Huh? No, not Marion Meadows. The other one. Oh my gosh! I cannot believe my brain just went blank.
Who's out of Houston? Kirk Whalum lived there for a minute.
No.
Can't think of it.
Paul? No, he's in Vegas.
No. Oh my gosh.
Oh, now you got me going.
See, he's on my profile picture. He's with. I mean, I'm in between Marion.
Braxton?
No.
Tom Braxton? Okay.
No, not Tom Braxton. Oh my gosh. But anyway, they were.
Profile picture.
I can't even think of his name right now. Like I said, I'm just totally blanking out. I'm so embarrassed right now. I'm like, oh my god. I'm so embarrassed.
Turner?
Yes. Kyle Turner, thank you. My gosh. My brain has had like a massive.
I get those.
Anyway, with Kyle Turner, those two were going up next, and then they looked at each other and was like, we have to kick a bargain now with this kid, because they were just like blown away by him, because he had the audience going big time.
Oh yeah.
So like I said, he blew me away since he was like 18 years old.
Vincent is really incredible. I actually had the pleasure. I did the Dave Koz cruise this year. We went to Australia, and Dave had Vincent on the main stage for the first time doing his own show, and I was the keyboard player for that show. And Vincent did an incredible job. I mean,
I'm sure he
killed it. He killed it.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
I was so proud of him.
Because he, like I said, when he was 18, he was already superstar.
Yeah.
Just barely starting to tour and do like shows like that, but he killed it.
Oh, absolutely. And then he of course he plays the saxophone, plays guitar,
drums.
Plays drums. Yeah. He loves Elvis Presley. So I think he's actually in an Elvis Presley band playing drums.
Oh, wow.
That's so cool. That's crazy.
Oh, there's a quick question in the chat from Dave Howard. He wanted to know what years it was when you were in Berkeley. He's actually a professor at Berkeley as well. Used to.
Oh, cool. I was there from 1990 until late 92, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Dave.
Yes.
Dave is a guitar player, and he's a professor as well at Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Now that I think of it, I think I only have a few credits left. Maybe I should go back to school.
I think you're right.
And get that degree. Yeah.
Maybe you can do it online.
Yeah. Who knows? I'll check into that.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yes, absolutely.
You may want to be a professor someday.
You said you have to be gone about. You gonna be with us about an hour, these questions keep coming up, you're gonna stay the whole another hour. You know that?
That's where to go, Ray. Unfortunately.
No, I'm just saying that it happens, Ray. It's, because it's enjoying itself.
Yeah. Well, we actually only have like 8 minutes, and he's gonna have to go, so we might as well just keep talking, and then we'll play the music afterwards. Okay.
Yeah.
As
your outro.
For our listeners, so
outro.
So any other questions you have, go ahead and get it off your chest.
Go ahead, Mac.
No. That's what I had to say. No, because I knew he had to be gone within an hour. And I was looking at the time, but since he's enjoying himself by asking these questions and things like that, I can see the expression on his face. See. And,
yeah. Oh man, I'm in good company, so I'm always smiling in good company.
I have a question. So you said that you were born in Nigeria. What year? How old were you? Let me put it that way. Were you when your family left Nigeria, and why?
I'm going to be 54 this year. I was born in 65.
Okay.
Yeah. And basically, there was a civil war. It was like one fraction of Nigeria was aligning itself with Russia, and they became independent. And unfortunately, they had the most resources: oil, diamonds. Mostly oil was in that part of Nigeria, Biafra, and the powers that be, they could not allow that. So it was a very sad situation, actually.
Yeah.
Everybody comes to the country and they just want to take all the resources. The diamonds, the oil, the copper, the whatever, cocoa.
Yes.
Rubber.
Rubber. Kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his name? Leopold was responsible for millions of deaths in Congo because he wanted the rubber, the natural rubber.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of that happened.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reverberations of this, I mean, to this day, the most borders in Africa are very unnatural. Tribes that should never live together were forced to live together. Mm. And you have to ask yourself, was that done on purpose?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And then we have scientific evidence, or science have come up with evidence that all life began in Africa.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt about it.
It's not that we didn't know, but now they have scientific proof.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's African, of course.
That's right. And that's why a lot of times people are like, well, why are we fighting each other? If you go back, I remember I did this, Greg, I had a video of the Native American Indian dance. And I had a video on both screens of African dance. And I hit play at the same time. Do you know I couldn't tell the difference?
Oh, I hear you.
So what does that tell you? Where did the American Indians come from? Mm-hmm. If you notice that the African colors are vibrant, well, so are the Native American color. And then you go in the Latin countries, colorful. So I think, you can see little tidbits of evidence of that throughout. And that's why I appreciate the study, the scientific studies, to be able to prove that. So
Africa's a cradle of
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And these similarities, of course, you can find them in music all over the place, especially when you start looking into rhythms, Afro-Cuban rhythms, where they came from. And it goes into hip hop, everything is related.
Yeah,
it is. And there's nothing like, I remember the first time, I found out that some of my descendants came from Cuba as well. And maybe that explained why I love, what was from Florida, the band, the Latin band?
Miami Sound Machine?
Yes. Wow, did I love them.
Oh, Gloria Estefan. Yes, yes.
Oh my God. You talk about get up. I was like.
Yeah, and boogie.
Oh, love that. The Latin, whatever you called it, it was just full of life, full of energy. And I love that stuff. So I didn't have a problem with the music at all, you know. But do you often sometimes incorporate all these different flavors, if you will? I don't want to call them genres, but all these different flavors of music all over the world. Does it affect the way you write your music?
Yes, absolutely, because I never think in borders. You know, as I told you when I was living in Switzerland and I was told it sounds too American, I never really understood what that means, because when I compose, I don't think like, oh, I'm just composing for LA or just for California or just America. Right. It's just, you know, but I listen to so many different kinds of music. At the moment, I'm actually doing a rather big project for Swiss national TV. I'm writing the music to an awards show. And I had to brush up on my orchestral arrangement skills. So I've been listening a lot to like John Williams music scores. You know, the way he writes, the way he arranges, mind-boggling. I mean,
I can imagine. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, because I mean, just all of with him, so many films that he scored.
Oh yes, oh yeah, absolutely.
When he started back in the day doing television, you know, and then he graduated up to doing film scores.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I mean, it's so interesting. Everything it relates to another thing. I'm a huge fan of Herbie Hancock.
Oh yeah.
And but it took me a while to realize a lot of stuff that Herbie does, especially his voicings, I think the way he hears music, I think he was highly influenced by Russian composers. You know, if you listen to Stravinsky, Shostakovich, just the voicings.
Yeah.
Right.
Those cats were so advanced, and although they're you know, classical composers, they're almost like jazz composers.
Yes. I taught my music teacher that in college, and she was insulted because there was.
Wow.
She was not jazz. Wow. There was still some that still thought jazz was from the devil.
Oh man, no.
Because the school, if it weren't for Dr. Mahady having jazz studies, we would not have had any jazz. They didn't think it belonged in the music department because we're classical, we're sophisticated. You know, they had this air about them that was amazing about what's real music. And I brought that up, and even modern music, when it's atonal and it's not based on the scale, I aligned that with punk music. And she really got insulted. Oh, you can't do that. I said, well, you think about it. It's atonal. It's crazy. The saxophone's supposed to play off pitch during these next two bars. It's so I could see, like you, I could see how it's affecting everything, even the visual.
Absolutely, and you know, like the 8-tone music or 12-tone music, like Schoenberg, for example. When you think about it, that was developed after World War II.
It was.
So many horrible things happened. How can you write a nice C major chord after what happened? So music always reflects what happens in society.
The time period, yeah.
And just as a side note, I'm convinced that Stravinsky, for example, I think he was a funk musician, because I'm telling you, in all these pieces, you have this 16th pulse going through it.
Yeah.
Always. So I think, you know, people will get it eventually.
For sure.
Well, you know, Ravel had a book.